Asian World Cup qualifying. Well, in Group A, four teams are still alive. Syria, Uzbekistan, South Korea, and China. Uzbekistan has a pivotal game at home in Tashkent in the final game of this group against South Korea, but those are not the two only teams in Group A of Asian qualifying that can survive. Syria, because of the fact that they defeated Qatar, and due to the fact that Uzbekistan dropped points to China on the road, Syria can qualify. Imagine this: they can sneak into the second place automatic direct spot with a win tomorrow on the road in Iran. As difficult as that may be, who would have seen this coming? Many would have thought Syria would be eliminated by now. But if Syria wins tomorrow in Iran, combined with a draw in the Uzbekistan South Korea game, then Syria will qualify. Even if Uzbekistan beats South Korea by a goal, Syria will still qualify if they beat Iran due to having superior goal difference. And that's incredible. We could be seeing Syria, a war torn nation, qualifying for the World Cup tomorrow. And even if they don't, even if they draw or lose to Iran on the road, they can still qualify and most likely will qualify for the third placed playoff game against the third place team from Group B. And then the winner of that plays a playoff against the CONCACAF representative. So either way, Syria stands a very good chance of not being eliminated tomorrow. They can qualify for the World Cup incredibly tomorrow, or they can make it to the playoff, which still not very many people saw coming. Uh, and that is just wow, wow. For Uzbekistan, the goal is simple. Anything less than a victory to South Korea will see them fall to the playoff spot, or even if other results don't go their way, as low as fifth place in the table. Because Syria beats Iran, or even ties Iran, and South Korea defeats Uzbekistan, Uzbekistan's eliminated. So, Uzbekistan, I ran all the permutations, all the simulations. Uzbekistan can finish tomorrow anywhere between second and fifth in their group. So, Uzbekistan need to beat South Korea. But even though a win would very likely see them qualify for the World Cup directly, it's not guaranteed because if Syria pulls off the unthinkable against Iran, then Uzbekistan will still go to the playoff unless they defeat South Korea by a better margin than Syria beats Iran. And even China is still alive, although China can only qualify for the third placed playoff. And the way they do that is to have South Korea beat Uzbekistan, have Iran beat Syria, and then they themselves, China, defeating Qatar on the road by two or more goals. And if that happens, China will be on 12 points, equal with Syria and Uzbekistan, but on goal difference. So China could potentially sneak into the playoff tomorrow because it's entirely possible they beat Qatar. It's entirely possible Iran beats Syria, and it's entirely possible South Korea beats uh, Uzbekistan. There's a very real possibility tomorrow that China could find themselves slipping into the third placed playoff game. And that would also be unexpected and simply out of nowhere, an incredible result. So it's pretty cool to see that Syria and China are still alive and that one of these teams can clinch a spot in the World Cup, what would be a huge upset as early as tomorrow or whenever the next games are played. So Uzbekistan wants to get rid of their bad luck against South Korea and the fact that they've come so close to qualifying both in 2014 and I think in 2006 as well. So Uzbekistan will be looking to finally rid themselves of that uh, close but no cigar type of curse. And if they beat South Korea tomorrow, it's probably unlikely, or at least most likely unlikely, that Syria will not beat Iran, even if they just draw with them. But a win for Uzbekistan is most likely going to see them at the World Cup. So the stakes are very high. South Korea would qualify with just a draw, but also dependent that Syria does not beat Iran comfortably, which is most likely, again, not going to happen. So a draw tomorrow would probably be enough to see South Korea through. But it's coming down to the wire, guys. It's going to be really exciting. And South Korea is playing away against a really angry and desperate Uzbekistan. Anything can happen. I'll give my predictions at the end of this video. In Group B, we have Australia against Thailand, Saudi Arabia versus Japan. Now, Saudi Arabia and Australia are level on points, but Saudi Arabia has the advantage of goal difference. Basically, what has to happen tomorrow is Australia needs to beat Thailand, and they should beat them by as many goals as they possibly can because their game is being played before Saudi Arabia, Japan. So they will not know by what margin they need to beat Thailand by in order to qualify directly and avoid the playoff. So, if Saudi Arabia beats Japan, which is very possible because Japan has already qualified, they might not put much effort into this game, Australia will have to do better than Saudi Arabia's margin of victory over Japan. So if Saudi Arabia beats Japan 2-1, Australia would have to beat Thailand at least 3-0. Whatever Saudi Arabia beats Japan by, Australia will have to get 2 goals more than Saudi Arabia. And I think it's very possible because Australia is playing against Thailand at home. They should beat this team 3-4-0. And Japan doesn't really have a reason to just bend over backwards for Saudi Arabia because I don't think there's any bad blood between Japan and Australia. But it doesn't help Australia that Japan has already qualified. So that's going to be very tight as well. And in all these different simulations, it's even possible for Australia to lose tomorrow and still qualify directly if Japan beats up Saudi Arabia horribly. But that's very unlikely. But I ran the permutations, all the different possibilities, and it's a lot. It is a lot. The United Arab Emirates are still in with a chance as well, but they can only qualify through a playoff. And the only way they can get to a playoff is if they beat Iraq tomorrow very handily while hoping other results go their way. I believe they have to beat Iraq by at least 6 or so goals while hoping that Australia and Saudi Arabia, either one or both of them, lose tomorrow, which is extraordinarily unlikely. So, my predictions for Asia's final match day, where we will have the identity of 2 more teams who qualify for the World Cup before the playoffs begin. How I think it's going to go down is this. I think Qatar and China are going to draw 1-1. That'll eliminate China, and Qatar's already eliminated. I think Syria will fight with all of their heart, but I think they will lose to Iran, who wants to keep their perfect record. I think Iran will win 2-0. 3-0 if Syria chooses to open themselves up in desperation. But I'm going to say 2-0 for Iran. And then the big one, Uzbekistan versus South Korea. My prediction is that Uzbekistan is going to lose. Yep. I think Uzbekistan is going to lose this match. I don't think they're going to get a point from it. I think South Korea will approach this more conservatively, and they will get like a 1-0 or 2-1 victory over Uzbekistan, who will be pretty desperate to get this win. And I think South Korea will qualify directly, but because of Syria having superior goal difference to Uzbekistan, I do think Syria is going to get the playoff spot. That's my bold prediction. I think Uzbekistan is going to finish in fourth in this group. I don't think they're even going to get to the playoff this time. I know it's bold because if they win the game, they're in second, most likely. So I think Syria will still be alive tomorrow. I think they will get the third place playoff spot. And in Group B, I think Australia will beat Thailand 4-0. And I think that Saudi Arabia will actually beat Japan 2-1. But on goal difference, Australia by 1. Australia will qualify directly, sending Saudi Arabia to the playoffs against Syria. So those are my predictions, and those are my reactions and my predictions. So for Asia. So leave a comment below, like, subscribe. See you in my next video. Until then, guys, peace.